Hi there, I'm Mari, and welcome to my channel. I'm really excited to have you here. And I have a question for you. Have you been feeling like you need some specific divine guidance right now, going through all of the changes that we're going through at this time in history, at this time in your life, at this time in the world? Like you get maybe some signs seeing, let's say, repetitive numbers like 555 or 1111. You might feel some synchronicities, like things are kind of coincidentally coming together, but you can't put your finger on it. You get that deja vu or that haphazard aha moment. But the haphazard aha moment, as welcome as it is, isn't enough for what we need, what you might need right now. And what that is full contextual guidance. It's different. Guidance is different than answers. Answers are conclusive. Guidance is ongoing, an ongoing conversational relationship with your own divine self, your own higher self. Did you know that your higher self is always engaged, sending you at least 100 messages a day? It's not waiting for the big miracle to talk to you. It's reaching out with from the smallest decisions, like what are you going to have for breakfast in the morning, to, what clothes you should put on, to which route should you take, to what do you want for your order at Starbucks. There's always a energetic counterpart to your physical reality. And we call this the 5D frequency toolkit. You were born with a whole suite of energetic tools that were meant to be working with you 80%, carrying 80% of the load, and your 3D tools, which are your physical senses, your, taste, smell and touch, and etc., and your physical abilities, your rational thinking, your intellect, your critical thinking, and your mental mind. I call that the 3D mental mind. That's all here to logisticize, to do the logistics of walking the planet and getting things done and organizing and creating your memory banks and keeping you safe. But in addition to that 3D set of senses and abilities, you were born with a whole toolkit of what we call 5D senses and abilities. So that includes all of your energetic senses, clairvoyance, claircognizance, clairsentience, and clairaudience. It also includes your ability to communicate with your own higher self, not just the intuitive part, which is really kind of like, when you get those deja vus and the aha moments and those kind of haphazard signals, that's kind of equivalent to the ringtone on your phone. So you get the ring and it's like, oh, or you get the text bell, but you got to answer the phone to actually have the conversation, right? So the second part of that energetic communication system, after you get the ringtone, is the actual conversation, the actual channeled message from your own higher self. And that's what's activating now. In addition to that, you have telepathic abilities where you can kind of sense something nonverbally. You get into walk into a room and you feel the energy. You might detect the weather or detect, feeling like that your animal, how your pet might be feeling, right? So you have these telepathic abilities. You might think of someone and they call you on the phone, right? So those three things, your intuition, your ability to personally channel your higher self, and your own telepathic abilities are your own energetic communication system. So that's one part of your 5D toolkit. That's the first part. This big part, probably the most important part. The second part, though, is your ability to access everything you need from the infinite field. We call that alchemy, we call that manifesting. There's all sorts of words for it, but essentially it's your ability to access everything that you need from the energetic form and bring it from the fifth dimension through the fourth dimension, which is the transit point, into the third dimension, which is where you physically, tangibly can use it. So you have all these things in the cloud and you can pull them and, download them as needed, right? So that ability, that alchemy, that ability to do personal alchemy is also part of your 5D toolkit. You were born with the ability to do this. It does not require some special gifts or anything like that. And let me just say also, when I talk about energetic communication, it is not psychic communication. So it's not based on predicting what's going to happen to you next. And this is where I think people are missing, because when we get into these, chaotic times that we're in now, with first thing we know is what's going to happen to us, what's going to happen to us, what's going to happen to us. And That's not the right question because that's assuming that something out there is going to dictate what's happening in here. And it actually, we're going into a whole new world now where all of that is reversed. What's in here is going to dictate what's out there. And so that's what we're, as individuals, as empaths, as light workers, as light leaders, if you're, as sensitives, and the public at large is actually being called to this too. But if you're attracted to this, this channel, you're probably an empath, etc. And so now you're being called to step into here, into yourself, and speak with that higher self that is trying to get messages to you throughout your day. Okay. In addition to your energetic communication system and your ability to do personal alchemy, the third part of your 5D toolkit is your own ability to heal yourself, is the self-healing aspect where your body can whisper to you what it needs. So instead of constantly having to go outside of yourself to look for all of these different tools, you can first stop is to say, body, what's up? What do you require? What do you desire? What do you need? And know in your body, through a process called body whispering, your body will let you know, if you know how to listen, if you know how to perceive that language, exactly what it needs. And you can head off a lot of things at the past. Obviously, you need medical attention. You want to absolutely get that. I'm not saying that you should ever not get professional medical and mental health support. This is not meant to replace medical or mental health support, but you do have an energetic ability to heal yourself. And that is when you give yourself that permission slip, your body can follow that lead and is looking for that lead from you to work in partnership with it. You also have what I'm sure you've been hearing a lot about, which is the ability to choose your reality via parallel realities, jumping timelines, or calling it quantum jumping. There's all sorts of ways of saying it. But that ability to choose which timeline and which experience that you would like to participate in is going to be more important now than ever before in history. Because now the collective, meaning the big macrocosm of life, like the world, okay, the world consciousness, the world population, we're all being asked to move forward now very rapidly. It's a very important time in history. And we get to choose. We get to choose what kind of outcome and what kind of life and what kind of quality of life we want to have. And in order to do that, not only to land in the right timeline, you first have to know timelines exist, but not only to land in that timeline, but also to navigate the new world that you're in, becoming fluent in this 5D toolkit, in these 5D senses and abilities. No special gifts required. You were born with all of this, but becoming aware of it, then getting a working knowledge of it, just like a regular language, if you were learning a foreign language, and then becoming fluent in it is your number one priority. And as you do that, you will start to your mental mind, your 3D side, your mental, skeptic, or your 3D physical mind will start to lean into the frequency, into your frequency-based tools, and it'll get so much relief. Because frankly, we were meant to be operating our lives 80% from frequency first, and then based on inspired action that we get from our channelings, from our connections with our higher self, from what our bodies are requiring, then we give our mental mind a to-do list, how to logisticize the physical walkabout on the planet. Okay, so very important now to start to ask, the way you start this whole process is to start to ask the right questions, right? To first of all recognize, okay, there is a 5D frequency that I don't need to have to wait for the whole collective to be in 5D for me to access it. 5D is really fifth dimensional energy and above. So there's, that's sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth, 10th to 11th, 12th dimensions, right? But 5D is really where things are fluidly energetic. 3D is where things are seemingly solid, like more matter, right? The matter that you physically are operating in this particular lifetime, in this particular body. 4D is the transit point. So when you learn how to raise your frequency, right, and to do your daily practices of high frequency living, you will be able to move yourself into 4D and draw it from 5D. So 5D can lower itself to you, you can raise yourself to it. And that's where you start to have that two-way conversational frequency and physicality relationship, and life starts to feel like you're in flow, right? So when you feel that sense of that aha moment or that deja vu or that sense of knowing where you don't have to analyze, you just say, oh, yes, that's for me, right? That's because you are in synergistic alignment with 3D and 5D at the same time. So we're not saying, oh, the 3D is the negative ego and oh, you can't focus on that. And we're not saying, oh, just be woo woo and just, focus on the energy and the frequencies and all will be well. We need the combination of the two. But you can't get the combination if you don't even know that you have the skills and you think that only certain people who have special gifts who can predict my future have the skills. And I'm sitting over here waiting for these outcomes and waiting for things to come at me, right? So I wanted to um, start that conversation. And as we go forward together, and I hope that you'll join my channel, hope you'll like and follow and subscribe to the channel so that we can really dig deep, roll up our sleeves and dig deep. This is a community that I really would like for you to be able to lean into and to not only enjoy, but to start to discover a whole new side of yourself that you don't have to strive for. All you have to do is awaken to and then start to put it into use. And this is the most empowering thing that you can possibly imagine. So we're going to be doing a lot of things together. I'd like to, this is a new channel. I do have a podcast called the Aha Moments Radio Show. I have a few hundred episodes on the Apple podcast, and I have been doing this work. I'm a third generation intuitive master channel. I teach channeling. I've certified psychics, all these different things I've done in my career, which I started back in 1987. Don't tell anybody, it's a little dating myself, but that's when I stepped onto my path and done thousands of readings and, a producer of telesummits and all types of things. And so I've been around for quite some time, but most importantly, I will never ask you to do anything I haven't done myself. So anything that I am presenting to you is that it's been vetted out in my life, it's been vetted out in my clients' lives, in my academy that I have, and I'll get into that later date. But it's really important that we step in now, that we don't pull away, because that's what the energy is feeling like. It's feeling like, okay, I should run, I should hide, I should, duck, I should plan defensively, and I can't trust myself. I can't trust what I'm seeing because so much stuff is coming at us all at once. And if there was ever a time that we need to stop, that we need to put our hands on our heart. This is where your center is. This is the piece right here. So when I want to give you a tool right now that you can get started with right this minute. And it's just a 60-second check-in. You're going to just put your hand right here on your heart, where this actually has more wisdom than your brain. Okay. We're used to your 3D information kind of travels out here, right? So when you start to wonder, is it true guidance? Is it false guidance? Oh my gosh, can I trust? You're out here. It's changing all the time. There's criticisms, there's judgments, there's pessimism, there's protective pessimism where you're like, I better be negative so that I'm prepared, all that stuff. No, you're getting yourself, it's creating a mess. What you want to do is drop down. Your higher self will always work through the heart center, through the solar plexus, down further here. Okay. And you allow yourself to just take a few deep breaths, hand on your heart. And that's going to take your nervous system down, centering it, grounding it. Okay. Stepping into that energetic wisdom. That's where you're going to find that connection to that 5D train of frequency. Okay. And that's where you're going to say, so when you're going to ask your questions, and you don't want to ask the question by saying, what's going to happen to me? When is this going to be over? Okay. Those are human questions. That's a 3D question. Probably the better thing is what you want to ask is guidance. You want to invite a two-way conversation, right? You want to be able to say, okay, so what's the next best step for me to take? What do I need to know most right now? and then allow that feeling. Now, when you have your hand on your heart and you're taking those deep breaths, I would say you're going to take 10 deep breaths, right? And just count down 10, 10, 10, 9, 9, 9, and go all the way down to 1. And once you do that and you settle, that's when you want to ask the question so that you can tune in to your higher self. Your higher self is always on. It is always interjecting. It is always saying, yeah, I don't believe that. Oh, yeah, that's for you. But let's do it now with consciousness, right? That's what we're going to talk about. That's what we're going to be learning. That's what I'm going to be sharing with you, is how to get that two-way conversational guidance. And there's an entire anatomy of the aha moment. I'm going to do that in another video. Maybe I'll do that as the next one so that you can see the steps. I don't want this to get too long. But I wanted to introduce it. I wanted to start to get your wheels turning and thinking about, oh, wow, I have these abilities. They're here for me. I don't have to have all these extra people. And I'm not saying don't hire your energetic professionals if you need a reading or you want somebody to support you with energy work. Absolutely, by all means, do that. But the way you want to approach a psychic reading is you want to be able to channel your own guidance. And then when you start to ask, oracle cards, like I have my deck of cards here, when you start to ask questions, you want it to be validators. So you had your own feelings and you're aware of them and you're aware of that conversation, but you say, hey, you know what? I'm going to go to this great psychic to just see if this is validating to what I'm getting myself, so that it's a partnering kind of a thing. It's not you as a sitting duck hearing something from someone else and then sitting there waiting to see if it's going to happen, and and what's the timing and what's this person thinking, and all of that. That's really 1990s. Now we're in 2025. Okay. Now we're getting into the stage of energetic empowerment. That's where we're going. That's what you need today. Today. We need this today. Not next week. Not, oh, that sounds cute, but I just, let me see if I'm gonna, get the guy, get the money and keep going. No. This life has gotten very complex, especially in the United States. We will talk a little bit about energetic meanings of current events. We'll get into that in some, later shows, later videos. But for now, the most important thing is you. It's not what this guy's doing over here and what the government's doing over there and who voted for what. And it's about you stepping into you, because that's the most important conversation that you can have right now, is the one with your own higher self. Whenever you're initiating anything energetic, anything where you're trying to get into that infinite field of wisdom where every answer already exists, where all of the tools, where all of the money, all of the abundance, all of the healing, all of the things already exist. They're already out in the field. And you need to get and, sort of press the button and bring it in. You must start by connecting into that fourth dimension through getting into your deeper alpha state, to getting into that state of consciousness that is down a beat, right? So that it's connecting. So I have a framework, and the framework is clear, connect, communicate, create. In order to get that connection is kind of where I started talking, but the first thing we want to do is clearing. We want to clear first. So, and I'll do another video on that separately because it's a big topic. But you might want to do some tapping, or you might want to do some smudging, or even salt water in a spray bottle and just spritzing yourself. That clears energy. You want to be clear, because if you're not, then when you go to connect, you're going to have a lot of arguing in your head, right? Because your 3D mind is going to be saying, yeah, but what about this? And oh, what about that memory? And oh, I tried this before and it didn't work. And oh, she tried it and that didn't work. And oh, they were not accurate with the timing of this and that. If you have all that going on, then it's hard to receive that pure consciousness of and conversation with your own higher self. So clearing, just you can start this today. Just do a little smudging, do tapping, whatever, something small, and then hand on your heart and just take 10 deep breaths and say, show me my 5D frequency. Show me my tools. Open me up, wake me up. Let's go, right? As you move forward, you will find that this will start to be unfolding more and more. It's an invitation. It's an invitation to your higher self. It's saying, hey, yeah, I know you've been calling me now. I'm willing to answer the phone. And we will get you to the not only the tools from an introduction perspective, but you want to become as fluent in your energetic abilities as you are in your physical ones, right? So if you were going to go and learn a new language, the first thing you do is learn vocabulary words and declensions, and eventually you'll get to tenses like past tense and present tense and future tense and all of that. And then you start to work with phrases and sentences and putting things together. And eventually, as you get more of a working knowledge and then you start to get more advanced in it, you can start to do colloquialisms and dialects and in contextual conversations. And eventually you learn how to break the rules and you can talk slang and still understand. And that's what builds fluency, right? So being able to go to a country and say, where's the bathroom in language is very different than being able to go to a country and negotiate a job contract or for a house, right? You need a whole new level of fluency. And what you want to do is not have to rely so much on translators, right? Because the translators, the information has to go through their own filters. So you would like to have the least amount of filters possible. It should be you to your higher self, right? So that is what I've devoted my career to sharing and to supporting and facilitating, is for you to get closer to you. And when you do, you will start to give your 3D mental mind that's been carrying way more than it was supposed to as far as life load, you will start to give it the tools and the balance that it was sent with. It was meant to be walking together, right? But it's been having to carry the whole load. So it's exhausted. And now, but it's not going to just say, oh, yeah, I'm going to trust all this stuff off the bat when I've had to carry the load all by myself for so long. So what you're going to be doing is we're going to be building that relationship, building your skills, building your understanding of how it's structured, how it works, how to access it, and starting to build that confidence by trial and error, right? By trial and seeing and collecting that information and proving it out to yourself. And eventually what you'll do, and this is what happens with my clients who are with me in my academy, is eventually you start to say, you know what? I just saw something. Let me check in with my frequency first, and then I'll figure out what I'm going to do. Instead of, oh my God, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? What am I going to do? And oh, I'm so tired. Oh, I'm so tired. I think I need to meditate. That's the wrong order. The meditation should come first. Now, when you're sitting there with your hand on your heart, don't expect to get the answers while you're sitting there. People get really confused with this. You can be sitting there with your hand on your heart. It's just to set the tone so that you raise your perception into the frequency, right? So that you raise your access to that greater field that's around you. And you're never out of it. I hear people say, oh, well, did you land in 5D? You're always in 5D. You're always operating in and out of 5D. That's the physiological thing, another day's conversation. But what you want to be doing is stepping into it with consciousness so you can access the full power of it. And so that you can start to choose the direction that you want to go without kind of feeling like you're under the 8 ball and the victim to all the circumstances. This time in history is an awakening, and not only awakening, but an adoption of a whole new way of life that's going to require dropping old structures, old routines, things that are just not working anymore, and putting yourself as your number one priority and taking back your own energetic power, combining that with the amazing physical person that you are. And eventually, as you become fluent in this language of your higher self, as you become fluent in your ability for your personal alchemy, as you become fluent in your ability to heal yourself, your codependency and all these outside things becomes way less. And then guess what? You get to fly. All those dreams and goals you have are going to triple quadruple, because you're going to be able to actually get them. It's not going to be all this tasking and all this extra. Your 3D mental mind will always put in more steps and hold things back and put in more steps because it's basing things on the past and when, how you were raised and, what's the quote right thing to do. There's no right anymore. Everything is like crazy, right? So one more thing before I go from this for today, and that is there's been a missing key, and I want to let you know about it. And that is all of these energetic senses. You have, if you think of a dashboard, so you have on one side, you have your 5D energetic senses and abilities, and on the other side, you have your 3D energetic senses and abilities. 3D is navigated and managed by the mental mind, your intellect, and 5D is managed and navigated by your higher self. And that conversational relationship, that intuitive language, that energetic communication swings back and forth between those two sides. One other major piece to understand is we also have 3D infrastructure, like physical infrastructure. So that would be time and space and linearity, and all of the negative emotions are in there: blame, shame, guilt, and fear. All of your physical senses, all your physiology, all your biology. On the other side, though, energetic infrastructure, that's the chassis that your energetic side runs on. It's no time, no space, no linearity. Everything happens in the present moment. You have access to the infinite at all times, and all of your answers lie out in that unknown. It's not unknown to your 5D self. The unknown is unknown to your 3D self. If you had like conscious waking thought of everything out in the infinite, you wouldn't be able to operate your life. So if you think about it, like if you look at your computer, everything you have on your computer uh, is in files on your desktop and in your different portions of your computer, but it's not all right on your front screen. You get to pick and choose. You keep some in the background, so you see some archived, and you have some that you're working with right now, right? So it's the same thing with frequency. So, but because this is not taught per se from birth, what happens is we don't think it's there. And then, we get into, all kinds of other influences and religions and all kinds of things, rules and all kinds of things. And it becomes this obscure thing that people felt like, okay, I have to have somebody else out there be the answer. So I hope that's been inspiring for you. I hope that you will contemplate this, that you will start with your hand on your heart. Get up in the morning. As soon as you get up, that's like your most conducive time to connect in and say, okay, I'm going to program my day to be receptive. Today, I'm going to receive the guidance that my higher self desires for me to have. That's a great starting point. So instead of saying, what's going to happen to him? What's going to happen to him? Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. Just say, okay, I'm receptive today. Show me the way, guide me, right? Take those deep breaths, connect in, and you will be on your path to high frequency living. This is the beginning. There's so much I can't wait to share with you and introduce you to, and even expand the knowledge that you already have, because obviously we all have come to this in different ways. Most people who be listening to this have probably, of course, done lots of spiritual things. But what I like to do is sort of connect the entire ecosystem so you can see what you have and then realize, okay, this is what I need to build out. This is what I need to access more of. And this is what I need to integrate with my physical self so that when you have the two integrated, anything truly, truly is possible. So if you have comments about this, I would love for you to put them down. If there's stuff you'd like to learn about or questions that you have, please add that to the comments below. I'm going to be doing as many of these videos as I can. I have a new book coming out actually, and it's called Beyond Intuition, and it's all about your 5D frequency toolkit and that missing handbook that will help you to master all of your energetic abilities for truly transcendent living. And that's what we want. We want to be able to transcend the regular physical experience. One of the reasons why we haven't been able to do that before is because the planet wasn't ready. And with all these planetary changes we've been going through and unprecedented astrology and unprecedented, governmental changes and unprecedented worldwide, um, unrest, and just seems like every structure is being, you know, blown to smithereens and rebuilt. This is that invitation. Everything is the old is dropping away, the new is here, and now we need to know how to navigate that, and not just navigate it, but feel safe and feel joyful and feel powerful and feel autonomous and independent, because the first being that you're going to go to as you get more confident and as you get fluent in these abilities is yourself. It's your higher self. And your higher self and your physical self are going to partner and trust each other. Game changer. Absolute game changer. So, like I said, please like, follow, share, and subscribe. That's the word, right? Subscribe. I haven't done YouTube in so long. So subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. All right. Have a great rest of your day. Bye.